Hello, grade 7. This is Mrs. Lopez. Today we are working on lesson 8 and 9 of module 3 in the 7th grade curriculum. So, example 1. Dwight, Jim, and Michael are volunteer firefighters. On Saturday, they held their annual coin drop fundraiser at the streetlight. After 1 hour, Jim had collected $42.50 more than Dwight, and Michael had collected $15 less than Jim. The three firefighters collected $125.95 in total. How much did each person collect? Okay, find the solution using a tape diagram or write and solve an equation. Okay, so we are solving equations. We are past the tape diagrams, but please feel free to use them if you are still struggling doing it. Okay, so who we know that Jim had collected 42.50 more than Dwight, and Michael had collected $15 more less than Jim. We have no idea how much Dwight collected. We know a little bit about Jim, we know a little bit about Michael. We have no idea what Dwight collected. So let X be the amount of money that Dwight has collected. So let's write that down. Let X be the money Dwight collected. Then we know that Jim collected 42.50 more than Dwight, and since Dwight is X, Jim is going to be $42.50 more, so plus than X. Okay, and Michael will have collected $15 less than Jim, and Jim collected that amount of money. So we'll have to put 42.50 plus X in parentheses because that's the amount of money Jim collected. And $15 less will be take away 15 from that amount. That's how much Michael has collected. Okay. In total, they collected $125.95. So if I add all of these together, it's going to be $125.95. All we need to do is to put that in the equation and solve for X. And that way we will find out how much Dwight collected. And from there, we will find out the rest of it. So let's put it in equation. We have X for Dwight, and we are adding 42.50 plus X for Jim, and I will put it in parentheses for now, and we are adding 42.50 plus X minus 15 for Michael. All of it together is $125.95. Okay, the reason why I put all of these in parentheses and it looks complicated right now is because we have three separate people, and that I just wanted to separate them all for now just to make sure that we have all addition throughout all of the problems, and then we can just get rid of those parentheses. One thing that I see right away is the subtraction problem. This is a subtract 15, right? So what we want to do is to add negative 15 instead, plus negative 15. Once we did that, we see that everywhere we have plus signs. That means that no matter how I'm going to put this, in what order I'm going to put all of these terms, it's not going to affect how I solve this problem afterwards, right? So the sum is going to be the same anyways. So let's count how many x's we have right now. Let's get rid of the parentheses first. X plus 42, 5 plus x plus 42, 5 plus x plus negative 15 equals 125.95. Notice I got rid of the 0 after 5 because it really doesn't matter, um, the 0 after the decimal as we solve the math problem. It will matter in the solution because we're talking about the money. So I have 1, 2, 3 x's. So that is 3x. And I have 42.5 plus 42.5. That is $85 or 85 minus 15 will give us 70. So plus 70 equals 125.95. Okay. Now we have a two-step equation that we need to solve. And first thing we want to do is to add negative 70 to both sides of the equation to get rid of it. So 3x plus 70 plus negative 70 equals 125.95 plus negative 70 as well. All right, so now we have 3x equals, and um, equals because 70 plus negative 70 is 0, and 125 minus 70, 95 minus 70 is 55.95. Okay, so now we need to solve for x, and to solve for x we are going to multiply both parts of our equation by 1/3 because that is the reciprocal of 3, and we are not using plus negative 3 because this is 3x's. We need to find 1, so we are dividing by 3 or multiplying by 1/3. I'm going to write it here just to have some more space. So 3x equals 55.95, and both parts we are multiplying by 1/3. Just use parentheses for that. Okay, 3 and 3 will get simplified here, so we'll have 1x left. X equals, and 55.95 times 1/3 is 18.65. Okay. All right. So that is we solved for x. So we found out how much Dwight collected. So that is Dwight. Our question is, how much did each person collect? So we haven't found all of the answers yet. We need to find the Jim and Michael. Okay. All right. So Jim collected 42.50 more. So 18.65 plus 42.50. And I will do it on the calculator, which will be easier right now and will save us time. So 18.65 plus 42.50 equals 61.15. And Michael collected $15 less than Jim. So it will be 61.15 minus $15, or plus negative, same thing. And that will be 46.15. If you put it in the dollar amount, you will get your answers. Okay, that is your example 1. Let's look at example 2. You're designing a rectangular pet pen for your new baby puppy. You have 30 feet of fence to use as a barrier. You decide that you would like the length to be 6 1/3 feet longer than the width. Draw and label a diagram to represent the pen. We have a rectangular pen. Okay. And we know that the length is 6 1/3 feet longer than the width. We don't know the width, so we would want to make it an x. And then the length is going to be 6 1/3 plus that x because it's going to be longer than that. Okay, and um, the whole fence that we have, all of it, which is the perimeter of this rectangle, right? So this one is 6 plus 6 1/3, and this one is x as well. The whole thing altogether, the whole thing altogether is 30 feet. Okay, so now what we want to do is to write an equation and solve for that x to find the width. So let's go ahead and add all of these together because that's what perimeter is when we add all the sides together. We will have x plus 6 1/3 plus another x plus another x plus 6 1/3. All of it together is 30 feet. I removed all the parentheses because here we have all the plus signs, right? We are adding all of these together. So it really doesn't matter the parentheses. This x represents the width. This is the length right here. This is another x for width, and this is another length. All right, so let's count all the x's. 1, 2, 3, 4x. 4x plus, and 6 1/3 plus 6 1/3, we will have 12 2/3. 12 2/3, and that equals to 30 feet. Okay, so now we want to get rid of that 12 2/3 first by adding the opposite of it. So that will be 4x plus 12 2/3 equals 30. And we are adding negative 12 2/3 plus negative 12 2/3 to both sides. Okay, so 12 2/3 and negative 12 2/3 get cancelled out. It will be a 0. So we have 4x left. 4x equals 30 plus negative 12 2/3. We can do it on the side, but it's going to be 17 1/3. Okay, all right, so now we need to solve for that 4. Um, solve for that x. So we are multiplying by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. I'm going to write it here. 4x equals 17 1/3. And we are multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of 4, 1/4. Okay. So here 4 and 4 can get simplified, and we will have 1x left, and that equals 2. Here I will have to change my mixed number into an improper fraction because that's how I will have to do multiplication. There is no way around it. So we are multiplying 3 by 17 and adding 1. So that is going to be 52 thirds, and we are multiplying that by 1/4. 52 can be simplified by 4, and that is 13. So I can simplify right here. 4 will equal 1, and 52 will turn into 13. So x equals 13 thirds. We can't leave it like this, so we need to change it back into a mixed number. 13 divided by 3 will give us 4 total, 4 whole numbers, and 1 remainder. 4 1/3. That means in our answer we are going to place the width of the pen is 4 1/3 feet. The width is 4 1/3 feet. Okay, let's move on. we have two more problems here. Example 3. Pam's morning routine involves getting dressed, eating breakfast, making her bed, and driving to work. Pam spends 1/3 of the total time in the morning getting dressed, 10 minutes eating breakfast, 5 minutes making her bed, and the remaining time driving to work. If Pam spends 35 and 1/2 minutes getting dressed, eating breakfast, and making her bed, how long was her drive to work? Write and solve this problem using an equation. Okay, so this problem is a little bit trickier because it seems like we don't know two things here. We don't know how long it takes her to drive to work, and we don't know the total time. So the question is, what do we want to put as an x? I would honestly pick a total time because if we find the total time, we would be able to subtract from it to find how long it takes her to drive to work. So let's see what we have here and if I'm right for putting x as the total time. So um, we have getting dressed is um, 1/3 of x, right? If x total time, then getting dressed would be 1/3 of that total time, 1/3 of x. Then we have breakfast, and for breakfast she has 10 minutes. Then 5 minutes making bed, so bed, 5 minutes, and then driving to work. Driving to work. That we don't know yet. We have no idea, but we can say that we can find that out by subtracting total time and I'll say equals and 35.5 minutes, because 35.5 minutes is how long it takes her for these three activities: getting dressed, eating breakfast, and making her bed. So that is 35.5 minutes for all three of these. So if I take that and subtract total time minus 35.5, I will be able to find that amount of time, right? And instead of total time, we can put that x in here. Okay, so I can totally see an equation out of these three. So I can say that 1/3 x plus 10 minutes and plus 5 minutes will equal 35.5, right? So now I will simplify by combining these like terms. 1/3 x plus 15 equals 35.5. Okay. After that, I want to get rid of that 15 that is on the same side as my variable. I'm going to add negative 15 to both sides. 1/3 x plus 15 plus negative 15 equals 35.5 plus negative 15. Okay, so now I have 1/3 x equals, and 35.5 plus negative 15 will give us 20.5. And now to find out what x is, I want to get rid of 1/3 that is multiplied by that x. So I need to multiply that 1/3 by its reciprocal. 1/3 x equals, 20.5. And I'm multiplying by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3. So I'm multiplying both sides by 3. Here I will have 3 and 3 get simplified. I have x left. And here I will have to do the actual multiplication. So I need to change my mixed number into an improper fraction. 41/2. We are multiplying by 3/1, right? So here I will have 123/2. Okay, and I need to change it into a mixed number. If I divide 122 by 2, I will get 61 and 1/2. 61 and 1/2. All right. So now I know what x is. X is my total time, and that is 61 and 1/2 minutes. So total time equals 61 and 1/2 minutes. Uh, we need to find out now how long it takes her to drive to work. And to drive to work, I will subtract the total time, which is my 61 and 1/2, and 35 and 1/2. So 61 and 1/2 minus 35 and 1/2. 1/2 minus 1/2 is 0/2, so I don't have to write that. 11 minus 5 is 6, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So that is 26 minutes. In our answer, we can write it takes 26 minutes to drive to work. Okay? Example 4. Phyllis practices soccer and piano. Each day she practices piano for 2 hours. After 5 days, she practiced both piano and soccer for a total of 20 hours. Assuming that she practiced soccer the same amount of time each day, how many hours per day did Phyllis practice soccer? Okay, so each day she practices piano for 2 hours and soccer. We don't know how long that soccer is taking her. So let's make it an x. So let x be the time for soccer. Okay, then our equation, so we have 5 days, and 5 days each day she does soccer and piano, right? So each day she does um, x sorry x for the soccer and 2 hours for the piano. So that's how long she spends on these two activities. We know that she spends 5 days doing it. Okay, so we'll multiply that by 5, and the total that we get is 20 hours. So that's our equation. Now we can solve it a couple ways. We can get rid of 5 first by multiplying by the reciprocal of 5, or we can use distributive property to multiply 5 by x and 5 by 2. So let's, this time, since we spent a lot of time multiplying and doing the distributive property, why don't we get rid of 5 this time? We will multiply both sides of equation by 5. So I will just rewrite this. X plus 2 equals 20. And I'm going to multiply both sides by 1/5, because that's what reciprocal of 5 is, right? Now 5 and 5 will get simplified because it's 5 over 1, right? So 5 and 5 goes away, makes it 1. We have x plus 2 equals 4. 20 over 5 is 4. Okay, so now what we need to do is to get rid of 2. We will add negative 2 to both sides of my equation. Negative 2, negative 2. Negative 2 plus positive 2 equals 0. So I have x equals 2. That means that she practices soccer for 2 hours each day. Phyllis practices soccer for 2 hours each day. All right, that is it for this lesson. If you have any questions, please message me. Don't leave it until later. Make sure you understand everything right away. Uh, do your homework, and I will talk to you in the next class.